What is going on, Raiders? Soda Dragon here. Welcome, and I hope you guys are doing well. So guys, yes, I am wearing a new shirt. Why is this? To celebrate 10K subs. Guys, thank you so much for your support through this journey. To me, 10K subs is insane. Firstly, because you know what? I never post my videos anywhere. I don't know if you guys actually know this, but I don't post them anywhere. I literally just put them on YouTube, and for some reason, you guys find them, watch them, and you guys subscribe. And I've never been given a push by any of the big boys. I've never done collabs with them. In fact, I think most content creators in Raid don't even know who I am. And that's crazy considering I have 10K subs now. So once again, thanks guys. I'll probably wear the shirt until I hit 20K subs. So once you see the shirt change, you'll know that I've hit another milestone. So what is our topic for today? It's gonna be, how do you calculate damage in Raid? I think it's a pretty common dilemma for Raid players to figure out, at least on the same champ, what sets on them do more damage, set A, set B, or set C. Or let's say we're not even talking about full sets, but switching out certain gear pieces. Maybe a certain gear piece gives you more crit damage, but for Solus here, less defense. Well, damage is based on defense. Does that increase in crit damage offset that decrease in defense, since its damage is based on that? So here'd be an example, guys. Let's say I'm considering switching off this helmet because I get more crit damage. So notice I can get plus 6% crit damage with this helmet. But unfortunately, I lose 113 defense, and Solus's damage, once again, is based on defense. So the question is it worth it? How do I know whether or not Solus will deal more total damage in the end with this newer helmet or with the old one? Well, there's a simple calculation that'll help us figure it out, and it's really not that complicated. Sure, we'll use a calculator, but just a basic one. We're not using any kind of crazy calculator or anything like that. Now, in order to keep this as simple as possible, we're not going to compare champion versus champion. That would make things way too complicated. So what we're going to do is compare the same champion in different gear. This will allow us to not have to factor in masteries and books. And another thing we're not going to consider are buffs and debuffs. We're just going to assume all things are equal. Once again, if we compare different gear sets plus different buffs and debuffs, it's going to be kind of complicated. So no, we're not going to do that right now. Let's say that same champion is going to get the same buffs, debuffs, masteries, and books. So the only thing changing is the gear. So guys, another thing we're not going to concern ourselves with right now is ignore defense. It would make things way too complicated to factor that in, because we need to know the defense of the target, of the thing that we're hitting, to calculate the values of how much ignore defense would increase our damage. That's way too hard for now. And especially if you consider something like PvP, we don't know any of the values of the enemies that you fight, unless one of them is your buddy and he tells you. Yeah, for PvP, we don't have any of those defensive values. Now, PvE, we do have some of them, data mined, actually a lot of them. But for PvP, we have none of them. So as of right now, the calculation I'm going to give you, it does not factor in how much additional damage you would do with ignoring defense type sets, because it's just way too complicated. Now guys, if you want the sort of full formula of how to calculate damage, including buffs, debuffs, books, all that, then definitely check out Hell Hades' website. I'll link to this article in the description, but it's going to go ahead and give you the full formula here if that's really what you're looking for. But I know a lot of you guys simply want to know, without all this crazy math, will this gear piece or with this gear set help my champion do more damage or not? If that simple question is all you're asking, then this is the only formula that we'll need. All we need to know are three simple things. What is the total stat that the damage is based on? So for attack-based champions, it's going to be attack. HP-based champions, obviously HP and defense-based champions, is going to be their defense. So we're going to have that total defense number in mind, or attack number, or HP number. Multiply that by the skill multiplier. Now really, you can pick any skill, it doesn't matter, but sometimes you want to see what the damage increase would be on one particular skill, so that's fine, but any really can do the job. So we're going to need to look up the skill multipliers, which will show you how to do, and we're going to multiply that by the crit damage. That's it. Now guys, let's use Brogni here as an example, and here's a screenshot taken from Hell Hades Optimizer. So we're going to compare different sets and see how they increase or decrease Brogni's damage. So let's calculate this top gear set first. So this is the one that's highlighted here. So first we're going to take Brogni's total attack, because his damage is based on attack. So we see 3841, so we're going to put that in 3841, and we're going to multiply that by the damage multiplier of whatever skill we're thinking about. Any works as long as it has a damage multiplier associated with it. You can't use like a pure healing skill, it doesn't work. It has to have a damage multiplier associated with it. So for the A1, it's going to be 6.5, and you can look this up on Hell Hades' website. So multiply this 6.5 here, right? Now we're going to multiply this number by the crit damage. So the crit damage here, you're going to see it's a 2.23, but really that's equivalent to 2.23, right? If we're going to multiply it against something. So 2.23, we're going to add a 1 to it. So whatever the crit damage is, we change it to a decimal and we add a 1 to it. So instead of 223, it's going to be 2.23 plus 1. That's 3.23. So 3 0.23. And what do we see here? We have 80,641. Now let's compare this with the second gear set here, the one right below the highlighted one. So we're gonna start with the total attack. Remember, that's what Brogdon's damage is based on. So we see 3,743. We're gonna multiply that by that damage multiplier, the A1. So 6.5, and we're gonna multiply that by the crit damage here, and we see 2.36, so it's gonna be 3.36 here, and we get a slightly higher value. So the second gear set here gives us a higher damage value. So guys, let's try this again with the third gear set, comparing them to the second and the first. So we're gonna start off with the total attack here. So 3,718, and multiply that by our A1 damage multiplier, 6.5. And multiply that by the crit damage here, we see 232. So that's going to be 3.32. And the number we get here is very similar to the first, but the second is higher. And remember guys, you have the fitting room in game, so you know what your stats would be if you change out those gear pieces. Now you're going to need to run the same calculations for the before and after, but still, at least you can know, once again, with the calculations and the fitting room, if those pieces that you're considering would do more damage or less damage, all things being equal. So one last question would be, well, don't we want to compare similar crit rates to similar crit rates? So one set has 100% crit rate, so shouldn't we compare with another set that has 100% crit rate? And the answer is yes, we want to do that. We want to keep the crit rate as consistent as possible between comparisons. So your next question might be, well, look at all the different crit rates here on all the Brogdon sets. None of them are 100, and they're all different, right? Or pretty much. So how can we compare the different sets here? And so my answer is, this Brogdon is made for the Infinity Clan Boss team, and he gets a crit rate buff. So practically speaking, all of these sets are going to be 100% crit rate because of that buff he's going to get. So all these comparisons on this page are fair, once again, because we want to get that buff. But within your gear sets, yes, unless he's getting some sort of crit rate buff that takes him over 100%, yes, you do want to compare like crit rate amounts. So one set, if it's 87, that's fine. The other set is going to be 87 or close to it. That's the only fair way to compare them. All right, guys, I hope this helps you out. Once again, if you want the full damage calculation, you can go to Hell Hades' website. I'll link it in the description below, and go crazy with the math if you want to calculate everything. Thanks for watching, and if you guys haven't yet, like, subscribe, and share. Turn on all notifications. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.